What's going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam back in the building. Another week, another Saturday, another episode of the Shop Podcast, the best podcast you can find on the weekend. If you're into gaming, if you're into video games, this is it. This is everything you're gonna want to find on the weekends, man. I got the best panel, best topics, best chat with you. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and start around the panel. Actually, this week we got somebody new on the panel. Just joining us, man. He's been part of the panel for a while now, so he's actually kind of been an honorary member of the panel. But let's go ahead and get started with you, Centurion. Let everybody know kind of what's going on with you, what you got going on, how you feel about being part of the show.
I feel awesome and ecstatic. I'm really appreciative that you invited me to be part of this. And what better way to join my gaming brethren than to just sit here and talk about games forever?
Yeah, man, it's amazing. It's amazing, man. Glad to have you on. How do you feel about being a part of the show, man?
Oh, I love it being part of the show. And also, I was going to say, I love that we've been playing the Division after the show here and there. Yeah. You guys got me playing the Division again. I kind of fell off the cliff there, but now I'm back on the mountain and I'm trying to get my character leveled up so that way I can hold up to what you guys got going on.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. We love to have you. We love, once again, he's like an honorary member of the show, man. Great guy. I'll make sure his channel link is in the description. Please go check him out. Subscribe to him. Great up and coming channel. Very fair. Got a lot of content coming out. We were just talking about it pregame. He has a lot of shit coming up and you don't want to miss it. So please go to subscribe to that, gentleman. Once again, thank you for spending a little bit of your time with us on the weekend, Centurion, and being part of the crew now, man. This shit's going to be fun. We taking this shit to the moon for real, brother. So thank you for jumping on the train. We appreciate you. So next, we talking about Stagger League, man. This man does not need an introduction. No introduction needed for this gentleman. Let everybody know what's going on with you, Stagger, what you got going on. What you got going on this weekend?
Just been farting around the house, and it's not Stagger Lee anymore, but it's okay. I'll let you slide this week.
Nah, man, we do. What did I tell you? As soon as you told me you were saying, I'm saying I'm still calling you Stagger. So
it is still Stagger. It's just not Lee no more. But it's all good. No, I just had to flip you a little shit for that.
I know.
And I'm just doing the family thing today, getting ready for the podcast, and cleaning up my office, trying to get it more done and ready, and just doing the streaming thing like I do 4 to 6 hours a day.
Let's get it, man. One of the best guys to watch as far as streaming. I'll make sure his mixer is in the chat below as well as the description. So make sure you guys go find him as well, doing amazing things in the community. As well, follow everybody on Twitter. That's kind of where we all hang out. So just follow us. All of that's in the description below already. And as you file in, please smack that like button. Subscribe to the channel. We on the road to 2K subscribers this year. Please help us get there. Help us reach that mark, man. It would be huge if I can do that. If we can do that collectively, you guys have been doing fucking crazy every single week. The show is getting bigger and better. But let's go ahead and not waste too much time. Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, Mr. Unassuming himself. What's going on with you, man?
Not too much. Been low key most of the week. Just busy with a lot of work stuff and home stuff. But for the most part, I finally cleared most of the stash on the Division. So I got some of my builds set up. I got some loadouts, good to go. I think I'm done with Lego on the Forza stuff and just back to driving the Motorsport 7 and mainland for Forza Horizon 4. But just chilling. Great to be with the crew. This is like my hangout spot. My weekend. I don't know. I guess you could say just kick back and talk about games. That's can't get any better than that.
Definitely, man. Let's get it, man. We already got some people filing in. Super shout out to Stinger77. He said, "What's up, Blam? Long time sub, Kurt Johnson. I remember you, man. I know you used to talk on the DMs. Appreciate you, man. Where you been at, man? Glad you're back, though. Glad you're back. Watching, we appreciate you, man. Showing up, showing support. Everybody, Zinc, showing to Mod of the Year, Mojo. Shout out to you guys. And once again, as you file in, smack the like button. It does help the channel be seen. All right. So let's go ahead and dive in, man. Let's not waste no more time. We already done wasted 5 minutes, man. So let's go ahead and get in, man. So first thing we're talking about, the poll of the week has returned this week. Last week I did not do one due to everything going on with E3. I made you guys aware of that. This week it did return, and you guys went crazy. So it was kind of a cool topic, man. And let's go over that. Once again, chat, these questions are also for you. Let us know how you feel in the chat. So poll of the week this week, since we know both games are coming out in 2020, which game is more likely to win Game of the Year. So we had Cyberpunk 2077, then we had Halo Infinite. Now I know this is way too early predictions, guys. I understand that. Don't flame me in the chat. I know. But we just kind of throwing it out there. Just shoot the shit and have fun. There's nothing wrong with it. So actually, Cyberpunk 2077 won pretty handily. It was 67% versus 32% for Halo, over 300 votes. So thank you guys. Every week the poll of the week is getting bigger, but that's what you guys thought. Now I have my own reservations on why that may have been so lopsided. To me, there's a couple things that are obvious about that, but I want you guys to let me know how you feel. We're gonna start with you, Centurion, man. With that poll of the week, do you think would that have been your choice, and why do you think the poll was kind of lopsided?
Well, the poll was lopsided because for some reason that, sorry about that, my cat hopped up here. For some reason, I believe that is probably the most looked at game right now. It's even being touted as game of the generation, and it hasn't even come out yet. And I think it's kind of ironic that, you know, everybody said, oh, the high point of Microsoft's E3 was Cyberpunk's, 2077. Why couldn't it be one of their IPs? What title out there right now has more recognition than Cyberpunk 2077? If you were probably to take a crowd of people right now and show them games that are coming out just by photo with no title, I guarantee you that the crowd would be able to pick out Cyberpunk 2077 just from the image of the game. It's that popular.
That's true. I agree with that. I think a lot has to do with it being a multi-plat as well. By having, everybody having access to that game, so there's a larger crowd that may not even play Halo. They may just have a PlayStation that thinks Cyberpunk 2077, because they're not probably going to play Halo. So I think that factors in as well. But I think you're right. I think Cyberpunk, and it's funny because I don't want to make it seem like it's far-fetched, because let's not act like Cyberpunk's not going to be able to stand up to Halo, like it's some kind of a mismatch, because it's not. I obviously side with Halo just because I think Halo has its extra. I'm such a fan, and I know Halo it's in that Mount Rushmore for a reason. You don't get there. Chief is so iconic. There's so much behind the story that I like, that a lot of large group of people do like. It gives it that extra oomph for me on the emotional part of it. But I think Cyberpunk is almost as sure as a bet as anything. As far as to be a definite Game of the Year candidate, I don't think there's any question that when it comes out, it's definitely going to be, definitely right there, 1-2. You can flip-flop either or. So let's go ahead and bounce it over to you, Stagger. What do you think about the poll? What do you think about the fact that Cyberpunk was voted so heavily, as well as what would be your choice?
I mean, ideally, I'd want it to be Halo because I'm a huge Halo fanatic. But I mean, the reality is I'm leaning Cyberpunk just because of its cross-platform, the new fresh world and experiences that it's going to offer. I mean, there's a huge population of people that love sci-fi as an RPG base, and it's a new IP. I think Halo will be a strong contender, but it has a few things working against it. One, it's an old established series, and really, unless they bring some mind-blowing new experiences with the open world-esque no load times to the table, it's still, I hate to say this as a Halo lover, being my number one game all time, it's still just a Halo game, and then two, like this series has, like Halo itself has garnered a lot of detractors and haters over the years, be it from like gameplay changes, the graphics, level designs, enemy types, and the story direction, that it's just, I think there's too much unjust hate towards Halo nowadays, just because there's been so many iterations and things have changed, and people are like have really hated on like the last two games, that no matter what, and that it's a Microsoft game, but like no matter what Halo does, it just can't really get that traction. So that's kind of where I lean and why I think Cyberpunk's going to be. And I think CD Projekt Red has a great history in what they did with Witcher 3 and how amazing that game was. And they're pouring all of that into Cyberpunk. So and giving it a sci-fi twist. So it's new, it's fresh, and everybody knows that like what they're getting kind of in a way, but in a different setting. So and there's a ton of hype around it. It's crazy. And then you throw out freaking Keanu. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's that kind of, man, that gave it a lot of juice, man. I mean, that's been like one of the most talked about things out of E3, even post E3. That was trending for a couple days. So
yeah, definitely.
I agree. I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. And like I said before, this is what I just said right before he started talking. It's not like it was almost like last year. Now, depending on the side of the coin you were on, some people thought God of War, Red Dead Redemption 2, it shouldn't even been close. I'm like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? It's God of War. Like there's no huge. They're on the same tier. That's not some gigantic difference. You know what I'm saying? To me, it wasn't. When you look at how the games are viewed, maybe sales wise, obviously Red Dead's and multiplayer is gonna outsell, fucking God of War probably 3 times. But I don't think that's solely, the justification to say, well, this one's so much bigger than the other. So I think the same thing with the Halo and Cyberpunk. And you're right. There's a lot working against Halo.
People really like the new.
Yeah, the new IP and
I was going to say the new booty on the street, but
yeah. No, you're right.
No, it's real. Like they always like that new, fresh thing, and it's always about like, what's next? What are you doing for me now? Like, what's cool and fresh and clean? And I mean, I love Halo, but let's be realistic. It is an old, established series that's just kind of like, in the vein of like, we get Grand Theft Auto new games whenever we get them, and it's just still a Grand Theft Auto game, So
yeah.
If I
sold a jillion copies every time it drops.
Yeah, it does.
If I can interrupt real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Have you guys also been seeing some of the controversy that's coming out of Cyberpunk 2077? They're doing things so differently.
Yeah, the genders and all of that.
Oh yeah, and that's another thing. Like in a way, that's almost like marketing, because now you're getting people that don't even really look at the gaming industry going on, like looking at it like, whoa, what's going on over here?
Yeah. It's controversial. It ties in a lot. Like it hits that pop culture vein. Like and to be honest with you, we've never seen a game like this. We've never seen.
We really haven't.
A
and
game like
even
this
bad press is still good press.
Yeah.
So
it's still fresh. So yeah, absolutely. So I 100% agree with that. I think Stagger's been hit the nail on the head. Centurion hit the nail on the head. I know we're gonna get to you, Fuzzy, in a second, but I wholeheartedly agree with that, gentlemen. I think the chat, let us know as well if you guys agree with that or not. Halo, Cyberpunk, Game of the Year. What are you guys thinking in the chat as well? But Fuzz, man, questions on you, man. What do you think? I know this is kind of far out. We're not there yet. There's so much time. Things could change. A lot of things could change between now and when these games actually drop. So what do you think about the poll? On one hand, being kind of lopsided, almost 70%. Every 4 people, every third person three out of 4 voted Cyberpunk. So what do you think about that, as well as what would be your vote?
Well, I think it's mainly because it's going to be available to more players. Like somebody that has a PlayStation or just has a PC, they're going to be able to have access to it a lot easier. So I think that helps skew the numbers a bit. But I think the big thing is going to come down to, and I keep seeing these articles, hinting at Cyberpunk working on multiplayer, but it possibly not being ready right off the bat type of thing, kind of like the way Grand Theft Auto did. I think they'll be viewed differently. Like Cyberpunk not having multiplayer at launch, possibly, I think it'll be held in as a contender for Game of the Year just solely on story. That's, I think, how the media is going to take a look at it. When it comes to Halo, I think it's going to be reliant on not just the story being good, but the multiplayer being good and functional from day one, which it will be, as far as they're pros at this. They've, other than Master Chief Collection when it first came out, I mean, they've come a long way as far as any, matchmaking issues and things like that. But I think that aspect will possibly be held against it, whether it's, just so many people wind up breaking the internet, trying to play multiplayer at the same time that, on launch. But my personal vote, it's hard to say. I'm going to lean to Cyberpunk just only because, I'm more of the, sci-fi, Blade Runner type of fan.
Fifth Element.
The Future Soldier stuff still appeals to me a good bit, but I think Cyberpunk is going to be one of those things where, you're making your own story. There's not going to be as much of a funnel or pathway that guides you down, a certain way. Halo will probably have a little bit more of a guided, direction as far as how to, get you through the storyline and things like that. Although I think they're going to, mix in open world where it gives you so many options on how you, finish the story. It's just a matter of, it'll be a little bit more guided, I think, than Cyberpunk will be. And I think just looking at how the gaming media views certain games like that, I think they'll probably give Cyberpunk a higher rating, or give them the nod as opposed to Halo, because they're going to have this higher expectation of Halo, and Halo will meet it. It's just that they probably won't agree that it's met it, or concede that it's as good as it is. So I think that's what it's going to come down to.
Okay, well that's a great point. Once again, I think we're all on the same page. A lot, Halo is a different animal, man, and it can essentially break all of the trends we were talking about. It does have a lot of preset expectations compared to a brand new IP like a Cyberpunk, which is pretty much breaking the mold at this point. CD Projekt Red can almost do no wrong. Coming off of Witcher 3, they're in that Rockstar space where they can just, and I don't have a timetable. They kind of do what they want. They release shit as they want to. They let us know what's going on as they want. We don't give them a timeline. Nobody's rushing CD Projekt Red at all. The shit could have came out 2020 and we would have been fine. So I don't know. I just think that the games, in contrast, it's going to be a good year for a lot of us. We're all going to be happy at the end of the day. I think it's going to be real fun. We all going to dump a shit ton of time into these games. So I'm really, really excited about it. So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic, guys. And we're moving along here. Once again, chat, if you're in here, say hello in the chat. Smack the like button on your way in or your way out. Either way, appreciate you showing up, showing out. So this is actually a topic that I asked the guys here on the panel. I like to get their intake, sometimes about topics, direction of the channel, a lot of, backroom kind of stuff. And I asked them, like I said, hey, what topics did you guys want to cover this week? And one, I believe it was you, Fuzzy, who talked about this. You brought this up immediately, and I didn't even think about it. A lot of us that play video games are also big sports fans. And those video game sports kind of translate well as far as liking one. They're both competitive. They both take high skill a lot of times, and they're just extremely fun to watch, on television, and they're entertaining. So we're sports fans as well. So the thing I thought about, he posed the question, the lack of sports games. When you really think about it, guys, this generation, we've had one football game made by one company, pretty much one basketball game. I mean, you can count live, but nobody, that really, no, come on now. And then you got pretty much 2K at this point. You got one hockey game. You got one decent baseball game, which is MLB The Show. Kudos to Sony for keeping that game. Was actually really, really good. It's one of the best games on PlayStation yearly. So that as well. That's about it. You get FIFA as well. That's on everything. But how that goes. So the lack of sports games, no boxing. I mean, you got UFC, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know. That's not really my cup of tea. But I want to ask you guys in the chat as well as my panel members here. We're gonna start with you, Fuzzy, since you pretty much posed this question. The lack of sports games. Like, when are we gonna see, boxing? When are we gonna see other companies take a shot at these licenses? I know a lot of it has to do with monetary. When you're dealing with leagues, things like billion-dollar leagues like the NBA, the NFL, baseball, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of red tape involved in this. A lot of politics. So what do you think, man? You posed the question, so I want to start with you.
And I've been talking to coworkers, other friends on Xbox Live as well as PSN, and I think the biggest thing from a boxing standpoint, even if I think PlayStation now has a VR boxing that has no licensing really involved. It's almost like, imagine Mike Tyson's Punch Out without Mike Tyson type of thing. It's not really geared to be as realistic, but I almost wish they would just go for the licensing for the different leagues or different titles, but not necessarily have the main boxing candidates in it. Make it like a create your own character, whether it's I would rather it be something a little bit more realistic looking, kind of like the way EA used to do with the My Face thing. But even if it was just our avatars, I would be fine with something like that. And then, you know what? In all honesty, a lot of the boxers out there are into video games as well. I think if they see how well those games are, they're going to want their likeness to be in there, as opposed to just them trying to recreate themselves in the game. So if EA or 2K or somebody goes to the leagues and it's like, hey, we're just going to have it based on the belts, the weight class, not necessarily the named individuals. And then we'll have it out there for, 3 to 6 months. And then at that point, let the boxers approach them. If they want to be part of the game, it'll be a DLC thing. They get a certain amount of the cut. I know Mayweather's going to want, at least 10 mil or more, to have his likeness in that game. Hey, if his DLC is selling for $20 and it has like a variety of his, his milestones in his career, like 2 or 3 different tiers in there, I'm pretty sure people will buy it. Same thing with Tyson. Same thing with a lot of boxers out there. So I just wish that they would at least make the create your own character one and just go with that first, and then let the boxers approach them and say, "Hey, I want to be in this game. If we can work out a deal, I'll take whatever percentage they need to work out as far as for the cut for the DLC. I think that'll be a fix." But on the flip side of things, I'm kind of getting tired of buying Madden every year just to get an updated roster. It kind of feels like
a new passing mechanic.
Yeah. I mean, we complain about loot boxes, but I mean, in all honesty, if you look at things like Madden, it's like, okay, I'm fine with paying
all of that.
I'll pay $100 for the basic mechanics of the game. Just have it where you have as many features in there as you want. I'll pay $100 this year. And then every year after that, I'll pay somewhere between $19.99 or $29.99 for a roster update. But don't have me, even with EA Access, all right, I'm paying, if I just get the base game, I'll pay $53 or $48 or whatever it winds up being. But it's like, come on, you're not adding any new features. Or actually, they're returning a feature that they took away with the superstar mode, almost like the story mode thing. But it just feels like not really robbery, but it just we almost have to like unite and stand up against these companies and say, hey, no more. It's like either update it all together or add features or reduce this roster pricing, where it's just, all right, the DLC is the 2019 roster or the 2020 roster, or go back and have certain elite teams as a roster. Like, all right, one of the better years, at least for me being a baseball fan, was back in '86, which I wish there was a better baseball game than RBI for Xbox. But when it comes to baseball, have like the '86 Mets. I was more of a Mets fan, even though I lived in the Bronx. Have something like that where, I don't know. It just feels like we're being duped every year to pay full price for a roster pack. It just feels bad right now.
Yeah. And then the lack of variety, I mean, there's other games out there. I mean, like I said, I've already named the big five, you know what I'm saying? But there's other games out there. But I just wish other people had a chance to, take a shot at these games. I remember a couple years ago, I think you were around, Fuzzy, at the time. Remember we got we got trolled by Joe Montana, fucking tweeting out he was on the campus at Xbox doing some cool stuff. We're all like, oh shit, are we getting a new Joe Montana game? And it turned out to be some bullshit, some kind of cell phone app or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. So I just wish that these other studios would get a chance to make a proper game, because I mean, look at Madden. Madden literally has the benefit of not doing anything.
Yeah,
they don't have to.
They don't have to, and it literally that's a monopoly. I mean, in its truest sense of the word, you don't have any. If you want to play NFL football game, that's only option you have, unless you want to play PC on like that, whatever that coach game is, whatever that shit's called. I can't remember, but unless you're going to do something like that, that's the only NFL licensed game on the planet. That's the only company making it, and they're not doing a great job at it. They keep taking away features. They come back the next year and say, hey, here's a new feature, but it's the one they took away last year. Just kind of like you said this year. So it's just a lot of bullshit. I'm kind of tired of these companies just getting away with doing it. We hold these other types of games, and these strict fucking these strict fucking like guidelines, but we let these sports games kind of slide, because they're the only option. We kind of become numb to this shit. Like, that's all we have. Fucking okay, we're just gonna deal with it, and it's not right. It's not right. I mean, I'm not calling for any developers' head specifically. Just saying, I like our options for gamers is always a good thing. So, Stag, man, what do you think about the sports games? I mean, I don't know how big of a sports game player you were, but I mean, what do you think about the lack of variety this generation?
So first of all, I think the game you were talking about was Axis Football League.
Okay.
Might not be. I was trying to Google it real quick.
Yeah.
So I have like a love-hate relationship with sports games. Like I grew up playing baseball, football, basketball, your traditional American sports, but as my gaming taste has grown, I've definitely moved away from them. And one of them is, I'm just going to skip all over my other fucking notes because I'm going to skip right to Madden because, I mean, that's my biggest pet peeve with sports games is that the NFL and EA made an exclusive deal, which basically screwed us and screwed the competition and screwed any chance of EA making a game that like improved drastically year after year after year. I mean, I loved back in the day just playing with my team, running them through years and years and years of just playing franchise, winning Super Bowls, doing that and stuff. But now it just seems to all be about the esports and the ultimate Madden shit and getting the packs and buying more stuff and making them more money. But like, it doesn't change. I mean, that's like a thing with sports games. Like it's the same thing. You know what I mean? Like it's not like a shooter game where like you can make a gun that terraforms the ground or something like that. Like sports games have rigid rules. They don't change a lot very often. I mean, really, the only thing you can do is offer a cool way to do a spin move or a way to throw the ball or, zoom in on a dunk or, different kind of shots and angles for golf or whatever. But like, you can just change presentation and graphics. I mean, unless the rules of the game in real life changes, what other things can they really change in the games? I personally want NFL 2K back because that's one of my all-time favorite series. And like, we haven't had a good baseball game on the Xbox since MLB 2K. 13, I think was the last one. And what I really, really, really want back more than any of that is some NCAA football. That was some of them. I mean, I understand what happened there. I really do. Like with the using college player likenesses and stuff like that, and why they decided to not do it anymore. But man, it was probably, other than like NFL 2K, the best football games that I'd ever played was playing those college games and just picking different teams and doing all of that. But I mean, really, I think with sports games, the long story short is I don't think it's a lack of options as much as I think there is only so much of a market for these games anymore. So companies are probably, especially with there's, with you got the exclusive deal like EA does with the NFL, like, there's Canadian football games. There's a couple other games that tried to do American style football, and I've played them. The mechanics are horrible. It's just like, it's also a thing of like, it's almost a niche market now. So why oversaturate it when you're not going to make very much money because the EAs are taking the money, or because EA's pretty much got the sports market covered, except for MLB. I mean, they don't make MLB the show, do they? No.
That's I don't remember who that is.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head either. But like, I mean, they've got the hockey, they've got the basketball, they've got football. I mean, golf's kind of switched to the golf club, which isn't EA, and I think the golf club, that series, is way better than Tiger Woods BS ever was. I mean, it was fun, don't get me wrong, but that power up shit and being able to like hit 37,000 under was, just there's only so much you can do with sports game, and you can only keep people. You're only going to get the diehard interested, and those fan bases of those sports aren't always gamers. So they're like, you got millions of people that watch football. That doesn't translate to millions of people who are going to buy your football game.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's kind of the way I look at it.
That's a great point. A lot of great points, man. I don't know how the fuck you gonna follow that up, Centurion. He's a nail on the head, brother. So, Centurion, what do you think? I mean, I'm sure you played sports games growing up, video games as well. So, what do you think about that particular portion of the video game world? We don't talk about it much, but this is a great topic that I know Fuzz brought up. So,
well, you guys hit the nail on the head. Please don't throw a fraud button at me. I haven't played a sports game in a long while, purely because of what you guys are talking about. EA has had the entire, EA and 2K. It's most of the time. I know MLB The Show was the only one that's kind of like broke off and was done by somebody else. The last sports game I really got into, now forgive me, I can't remember if it was on GameCube or if it was on Xbox 360, but I'm actually more into the ones that let you have fun with the sport. I understand people are looking for realism, but the one I'm thinking of was it was an NFL game, and rather than playing in the traditional stadiums, you guys were out there playing in like a football field somebody like you and I would go to in a park, and it had like a very fun mechanic. It brought, things that you normally couldn't do into the sport into the game. And I found that extremely fun. I played with a lot of my friends constantly on that game. But, I haven't seen a sports game that's definitely made me want to purchase it. I remember just a few days ago, NBA 2K19, I think it was like $3 on the Xbox store.
Yeah.
I even thought about buying it just to try it out, but then I was just like, with everything I got, my backlog, I don't think I should get into it. But I do have to agree with Fuzzy. I've always thought that the sports games themselves should more along the lines become more of a games as a service role, where you buy your base disc, your base game, and then you pay for your content upgrades, and depending on the year of what roster you're looking for. And that way you're not constantly having to pay that $60 right out of the gate. I have a friend of mine that paid $100 for last year's NBA for like the legendary edition. And, that's where it's just, it is starting to almost be on the same level as, every year we get a Madden, every year we get a new basketball game, every year we get a Call of Duty. They're kind of like, those revolving games that are like, oh, well, there's always next year. Yeah. So I definitely haven't played a sports game in a while just because of that repetitiveness. But I definitely feel like all you guys hit the nail on the head. You've all made great points, and I actually can't disagree with any point that any of you have made.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I just think that a lot of that, as far as sports go, man, it's tough. And like I said, we talked about it. Stagger brought up a great point that there's not a lot of wiggle room there for them to innovate. But I mean, some of the things that they've attempted to do within that genre is just ridiculous. Like, they're doing it only because they can. Like you said, EA doesn't have to innovate. They don't have to worry about somebody lighting a fire under their ass, or, oh, look, there's another competitor, making another football game, pushing us to make a better game. So they don't have to worry about any of that. So they just put out the base product, and we get what we get. We get the updates as we get them, patches as we get them. We just kind of deal with what we get. So either or, man, great topic, man. Definitely, once again, chat, let us know what's going on, how you feeling. Say hello in the chat as you come in. Hit the like button, man. Appreciate you guys' energy today. So let's go ahead and bounce over. We just got off Cyberpunk, but I do want to come back to Cyberpunk now. Something very interesting that I talked about on Twitter that was talked about as well. I believe they even asked the developer. They even asked CD Projekt Red about it. And CD Projekt Red basically said we haven't looked at Cyberpunk 2077 being cross-gen, basically being available on the current gen systems and being available on the new systems. Now, I think there's a large group of us that feel like that's stupid. I mean, obviously it's going to be cross-gen. Like, that game's going to bridge the gap. A lot of people feel like, that Halo, Last of Us are going to bridge that gap between the two generations. Hell, maybe even available on both consoles between generations, kind of like Last of Us was the first Last of Us game. It was available PS3, PS4. So what do you guys think about that? I'm going to start with you, Stag, on this one. What do you think the odds are that it actually is cross-generation, and do you think it should be?
I think it's a no-brainer to release a next-gen version, say, a year after the initial release of the current-gen systems and the game. I mean, with a DLC pack and other add-ons, especially if and when Cyberpunk blows up and does really well. I mean, the level of graphics and the lack of load times for the next systems just seem to be a good thing for the game of Cyberpunk scope. Load times are still an issue on our current systems that have worse graphics, but similar in game choices and story arcs, i.e. like Call of Cthulhu. Like, I played it, loved the game. Game's really slow, graphics are subpar, but like, dude, load times are like 2 to 3 minutes. It would add another and more likely awesome title to all the next-gen consoles arsenal if and when it's a hit, and I don't see why they wouldn't do it when games like Grand Theft Auto 5, Burnout Paradise, Crash Bandicoot, Shadow of the Colossus, Modern Warfare, Halo. I mean, there's a bunch of games that have just like, you know what, we're going to remaster our games and re-release them. That like they all had success as remasters and being re-released. So monetarily, I don't see why they wouldn't. I mean, other than it's a really long, epic game, and maybe after a year, you're still going to be like deep into your current campaign or going on 3 different arch branches of storylines or trying to get a different ending. But like, I could see how the load times is going to inhibit a little bit of people's fun maybe on the current gen, and like having it next gen with no load times and just being able to keep go could really benefit a game like this.
True. Okay, now there's some balance there though, as far as you're not going to really split the player base, but there's going to be some performance differences there, clear performance differences based on what we know about this next generation hardware. So I don't know if somebody playing on the Xbox One X compared to the Project Scarlet is going to see, say for instance, you're playing on a new one, I don't have it. Is that gonna, is that difference going to be compensated for me, between the games? Am I going to notice a difference? Is that going to be seamless? So, I mean, once again, the size of the game you have to factor as well. Because we all believe Cyberpunk is going to be massive. Now, how big it's going to be, we don't know yet. But I assume, based on all the shit you could potentially do, it's going to be fucking gigantic.
It's got to be.
Has to be to make it that game has to be extremely large to make sense. So I don't think there's a doubt that it's going to be huge. So it's going to be interesting to see. They didn't say no. But they didn't say, "Oh hell yeah, we're definitely doing it either." So
no, but they definitely left themselves open to it.
Yeah, I'm sure they've talked about it. They've absolutely talked about it. I already know it was already. I know it was on the fucking checklist with things that they've already talked about and covered already.
But if they win Game of the Year, they can release a Game of the Year edition. So I mean,
now you got a reason to release maybe a definitive kind of edition.
You get all those people that were like, "Oh, I don't know about this, but oh shit, it just won Game of the Year. It must be really good. I better go play it."
Exactly. So, there's going to be a huge crowd contingency of people that feel that way. So, yeah. What about you? We're gonna go ahead and bounce it over to you, Centurion, man. Cyberpunk cross-gen or not? They didn't say no, didn't say yes. What do you think?
Well, to use my example, Halo Infinite is also going to be theoretically cross-gen if they do it the way they say they're going to do. So that's where I really think it's going to come out. Cyberpunk's going to come out in April. We're going to play it until the new gen of consoles come out. And when we get that new generation of console, we're going to stick that disc in there, and we're probably going to get a patch or something that is going to upgrade that game to the next level based on the hardware that you're putting the game into.
That could be a thing.
That's one, because I'm actually kind of looking at the article right now. Let's use The Witcher 3 as example. In late 2017, the Xbox One X / PS4 Pro update came out, and it completely changed the game because people were like, "Oh my God, you guys took a game and made it even better by giving it a 4K mode and a performance mode." And that's probably something that they could do with Cyberpunk 2077 is they probably got a patch somewhere that's just hanging out on a computer, and they're just like, well, when the game comes out, the new consoles come out, we'll distribute this patch through the consoles, and whoever buys and upgrades the console and puts that disc in there, they're going to get the patch and it will be upgraded. Because both these companies, for the first time ever in gaming, I said this the other day on another podcast, for the first time ever in gaming, the only console that's been consistently backwards compatibility was Nintendo before they went back to cartridges with the Switch. Now we're getting into where, for the first time ever, both PlayStation and Xbox are wanting their consoles to be multi-generational. They're wanting it to be backwards compatible with this generation and next generation. And that's all going to be delivered through patches and everything else that they have cooking up over there in their R&D. So I really do think that we're probably going to see an upgraded version of the game, or even like Stagger said, a Game of the Year version. Game of the Year version, that definitely, is going to come with all the DLC for that, like every Game of the Year. I can only imagine what they're going to drop for DLC on that game. But definitely, I definitely could see an upgraded version of that game being patched in.
Yeah. So I wanted to before I get to you first, I do want to elaborate on something that Stagger mentioned about games as a service. You talked about GTA and you brought up GTA, and I know we're holding Cyberpunk in a high regard. I don't know if it would be GTA high regard, but we definitely have lofty expectations for the game, very high expectations for the game. I wouldn't say anything short of a GTA-esque experience. Would you say Cyberpunk could be GTA Lite, because GTA is literally built off of its online structure? That's how the games run throughout that's why it's so successful for as long as it's been. Not the campaign at all, just a multiplayer. Without Cyberpunk having multiplayer right off the bat, do you think that could hurt the game as far as longevity, Stag? Because I know you brought that up a short time ago.
No, I don't think a game being single player only hurts its longevity, especially with. I mean, we have a pretty good understanding that this campaign is going to be really deep. My one way back of my brain, not fear for myself because I'm not overhyped about it. It looks beautiful. It looks amazing. I don't know if it's going to be a game for me per se, but what if they miss? That's one thing I don't see a lot of people talking about is everybody's so like, oh, they did so good on Witcher 3. They're an amazing studio.
Yeah.
They did great work.
Anthem.
What if it fucking bombs?
Yeah.
I mean,
Don't
what?
do
I mean,
Don't do that.
it's a possibility that
We
it looks
our
great.
chicken?
They've got some good
eggs?
backing, and it could flop.
Are we
Things
counting
have
our
flopped
eggs?
before.
Don't
There's
do
a
that,
couple
Scott.
people-
I was so sure of myself.
There's a couple people that have been looking at the footage. This is technically CD Projekt Red's first attempt at a first-person shooter, and they were saying that it actually kind of showed through a little bit. Like you could just tell, like the head bob motion of the character running around, and just certain things weren't as fluid as a company that does first-person shooters on the regular.
Yeah. So I mean, it could just like everybody we'll use recent history as an example. Everybody got super freaking hyped up about what they were going to see at E3 and Xbox briefing, and how many people were let down. So we've been showed all this amazing footage, which is a very small scope of a very large game. So how do we know what it's all gonna? I mean, we're not gonna know until it comes out. You know, we get a hands on with it and stuff like that. But like, I don't see that it flopping. I just don't see it happening. But I feel there is going to be some letdown.
Okay. I agree. I mean, maybe that, like I said before, a lot of it's just the pedigree the studio is coming from. But you're right. We should know better. And maybe I'm definitely putting my carriage in front of my horse.
But
Good example was Red Dead Redemption 2 online.
Yeah.
Everybody thought Red Dead Redemption 2 was going to be the killer for Grand Theft Auto. Everybody went over to Red Dead Redemption 2 online and was like, this is it? All right, I'm going back to Grand Theft Auto Online later.
Yep. That is true. No, that is absolutely true. So, I mean, I didn't even consider that. Damn you.
You're welcome.
Damn it. Jesus Christ.
I didn't want to be the guy to say it, but I've never seen anybody talk about it anywhere on Twitter and any articles. It's got to be out there somewhere, but I haven't seen it. And I'm just like a little bit like, hey guys, I mean, shit fails all the time that you think is going to be great, you know, based on past performances. I mean, companies have bankrupted themselves, in different industries, of course, based on their past performance being amazing and then releasing a new product and then it just bombing, you know? So it does happen.
Yeah, that's true. We do got it. Maybe I need to pump my brakes, Stag. So thank you for bringing me back down a little bit, brother.
I still have the game pre-ordered.
That's we definitely got that on deck.
They're definitely going to make a shit ton of money at launch because
has anybody been thinking about
marketing.
the collector's edition? I've been kind of toying around with that idea.
It's too much.
What it could be? Oh wait, how much is it?
It's $250, but I got that Best Buy unlocked thing until January 2020, so I don't pay $250. I pay $200. That's where I'm kind of like thinking. I'm like, should I get it? Should I not?
I made a choice. It was either that or the Gears $300 collector edition, and
you got the drone.
Oh God, yes.
Oh, gee, look, you guys on some other shit. I don't know, man. We'll see.
So I just couldn't get the Doom one. There's freaking Final Fantasy. There's just so many CEs coming out in the next 6 months. You have to make a choice unless you're loaded. So and really, I've bought at least 6 collector's edition in the last 6 months for under $100, under $50, because so it's just if there's any left around after the Halo 5 one was $50 on Amazon right before E3. So I mean, if you wait it out, you can get these things cheaper later on.
Yeah. Absolutely understandable. I mean, what we could do, I got a great idea. We could all take Fuzzy's gold Rolex, pawn it, and then buy us games for the next probably 10 years. Easy. We just put it to the side as a video game fun for all of us. And just pluck out of it every single month. It'd be beautiful. But anyway, Fuzz, what do you think, man? What do you think? Cyberpunk cross-gen? You've talked about this multiple times on the podcast, on weekly topics, whatever the case may be. So what do you think about it? Once again, chat, let us know how you feel about this game potentially being, cross-platform, cross-gen, PS4, next PS5, Xbox Scarlet, whatever the case may be. So Fudge, what do you think, man? Are you on, what side are you on?
I think it will be a cross-gen game. I mean, I don't. all companies like to make money. And I know you could probably have it where it'll just be like a 4K update or a 4K 60 update via like the way they did with the Xbox One X. So they won't make any more money from that. But those that were on the fence, or maybe you wanted to wait until the next gen, will definitely pick it up and possibly pick it up a little bit cheaper at that point when they do that update. But in the grand scheme of things, a Game of the Year edition where it has all the DLC, I can definitely see that being the case where it's you know, for the next consoles and has the frame rate updated, maybe the graphics, pushed to the hilt type of thing. But I can't see them saying, you know what, this is good enough. We'll stop there and move on to our next project. I mean, they could probably still move on to their next project, but I totally see them making at least a patch or possibly, Game of the Year or complete editions with all the DLC for the next console, and making at least another 40 to 60 or however many dollars on each copy that they sell. But Stag mentioned things flopping. It's got me kind of reminiscent on Anthem. So I'm hoping this thing doesn't get anthemed or whatnot. But yeah, I definitely see this carrying over to the next console or the next gen, and people like myself probably either buying the updated all complete edition with all the DLC or something to that effect. So yeah, I can't see them saying no to money. I mean,
who does?
People are people are already like, here's my money, take it now, release the game now. But yeah, I totally see them, considering it and definitely pushing it ahead for the next console as well.
Okay. No, that's a great point, man. That's a great point. I think I'm on the same train that you guys are. I think eventually the game makes sense. Now, one interesting take that we haven't talked about is that when we're looking at this thing, what if, CD Projekt Red takes Cyberpunk and looks at that game and its campaign as a game, as a more of a service? Because kind of like what Sea of Thieves is doing. The obviously not really a campaign, but the game itself is it's going to be something they consistently update for 2-3 years into the future. What if they look at the actual, not multiplayer, but if there's no multiplayer, what if they look at the campaign that way and say, look, let's consistently pump content into the campaign. We can stretch this shit for 5 years. What if there's that much content that they have planned? Now, once again, I may be talking pie in the sky here, but theoretically, they could be looking at it that way. We're just going to pump so much content into the campaign that we got shit to put out for the next 2 or 3 years till we decide to make something different. Because how much content was in The Witcher 3? I mean, you got, how many DLCs were there? Was it Blood and Wine DLC? Was that the only DLC?
There was 2 major DLCs, and people were touting that they were actually almost better than the original game.
Yeah. And they were gigantic. Those DLC was almost bigger than some actual full retail games. So they weren't small little upgrades. You get a couple costumes and a quiver and a Gwent card or some shit. You got literally full games. You got.
They've said already that the DLC that's coming out isn't stuff that's hit the cutting room floor. It's like actual expansions of the story. So
once again, we've never seen this. Is what I'm talking about, guys. If they decide to go that route, this game could be a 4-year game, like something that we're talking about. New shit. In 2021, 22. Like, damn, we're still looking at Cyberpunk, trying to figure out what's coming out next, what kind of DLC. Now, we don't know the type of legs it's gonna have, but we would assume, it's gonna be GTA like. I mean, I think I can put that assumption out there. It may not last fucking 10 years like GTA 5 has, but it may last a good length of time, 3-4 years, easy. And so that could be definitely a thing. So let's go ahead and move on to our last topic, man. The show has been phenomenal. Once again, thank you everybody showing up, showing out. Hit that like button on your way in, man. We're getting there, man. Let's go ahead and subscribe if you've not already. We're trying to get 2K subscribers this year. Appreciate the you guys' attention. Appreciate you guys coming every week, being consistent. So let's go ahead and get to the last topic, and this is a fun one. I threw this one in because I know it was going to fuck Stagger up. I did it on purpose. I knew he was going to sit around, do his research. He was going to take like an hour and a half.
Oh, dude, you think it was just an hour and a half? Anyways, go on. Sorry.
I know he's going to go crazy about this. He's going to do his full homework. No, I know. He's going to do his full homework on this. So, best console launch lineup ever, man. We talked about, and we're getting ready for these new consoles to come out, man. And obviously, these things are going to launch with titles. We don't know exactly which ones. A couple we know, some we don't, most we don't. So, think about, in the history of gaming, since you've been playing video games at least, what do you think had the best launch lineup as far as like the not the amount of games, but the quality of games that came out. And we start with you, Stag. I'm not wasting no time. I know you got your list ready, your binder. We start with you, man.
I got a book written. No, I reached out to a couple friends that have been collecting for a lot of years. Found some pretty cool websites through these guys to like just look at all the different launch lineups for all the major consoles actually. And it was actually really cool to see all the stuff because there's a lot of things I didn't know from the early days of like Atari and Intellivision and all that shit. But on that note, I got 3 paragraphs.
Oh shit!
They're short. I'll get through it. It's 1 page. There's definitely a few I could go with. I mean, I could easily lead with the 360. I mean, with games like Amp 3, Cameo, Perfect Dark, Tony Hawk Wasteland, Call of Duty 2, and Criminal Origins, just to name a few. Or the Wii with the Wii Sports Bundle and the innovative controls, games like Legend of Zelda, the Super Monkey Ball, which I had a Wii. I loved it. I played the crap out of Super Monkey Ball. You had Excite Truck, Call of Duty 3, and a bunch of more. But for me personally, even though I'm an Xbox guy, I'm not going Xbox. I'm going with the GameCube. It launched with 12 games in the US, and for me, it hit a fun spot, in other games that other consoles really missed for me. Like Luigi's Mansion was a lot of fun. Crazy Taxi was like this new fun way to play a game. Tony Hawk was amazing. And again, there was Super Monkey Ball. The Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX 2 was like an extension of Tony Hawk, but just on a bicycle. And like back then, like that BMX freestyle shit was really popular on TV. It was all over the place. You had your Batman Vengeance. You had a Star Wars Rogue Squadron game, or Rogue Squadron 2, the Wave Racing game. And there was a bunch of others for the US launch. I mean, in Europe, when they launched it a few months later, you had your Bloody Roar, some Cell Damage, which, I loved the remake when they did that again on, I think it was 360 or the One. I can't remember. I recently played it, so I'm going to guess it was the One. But, I know it wasn't a launch title for the GameCube, but I played the crap out of SSX3.
Oh, man.
I spent a lot of time on that system after the Dreamcast and before I got an Xbox. And for me, it was just, there's a lot of fond memories, a lot of good times playing games, and a lot of anticipating what was going to come out later. But the launch lineup just really worked for me. So that's what I went with.
Okay, that's a great choice. I had the GameCube was very high on my list, a lot higher than most people would probably think, because I give Nintendo a lot of shit. I love Nintendo. I give them a lot of shit because they deserve a lot of shit. Sorry, I know your fan base ain't jumping on you enough, Nintendo. I got you. I'm going to jump on your ass. So either way, I like the game. GameCube is a highly underrated system. In my opinion. So I'm going to go, I guess I'll take my turn here. I'm going to go a little bit different here. Let me go ahead and pull out my notes. You ain't the only one that took notes. And I am an Xbox guy, by the way. But I think this console, probably the most underrated console, in my opinion, ever. I'm going with the Dreamcast.
Yeah, I love that system.
So the Dreamcast, in my opinion, one of the most versatile launch lineups, innovative lineups. Let me just go through a little bit, what we're talking about. We got, House of the Dead 2, which is always that cool arcade shooter. We had a lot of fun with that. Mortal Kombat Gold, which is great. NFL 2K, Blitz 2000. You had both. You had the realistic 2K and the arcadey Blitz. Power Stone, a game that I think would work very well, in this day and age with, these, it was a different kind of brawler. It was I think it was a total of 4 people could be on screen at once, and it was just kind of, you can use the environment. It's on YouTube, go watch it if you haven't. It's fucking amazing. Sonic Adventure, Ready to Rumble. Come on now. I don't know if you remember that, Stag. Ready to Rumble, Centurion Fuzz. That was my shit. I played a bunch of that. There was a lot of other games.
Yeah, it was great.
It was amazing, and I think that game with that console had a phenomenal launch lineup, man. I don't think anything else tops it. I got the OG Xbox coming in second. Obviously mainly because Halo. Halo changed the game for me, and in a way, no other game has ever changed gaming for me besides Link Ocarina of Time. That's the only other game that's did what Halo did for me. It did it far earlier, but Halo by itself makes that Xbox, the OG Xbox, right up there with the Dreamcast. I think the Dreamcast edges out slightly based on its versatility and the different kind of games it has. So we're going to bounce this over to you, Fuzz. Man, I don't know if you did your research, but what do you think, man? What are you going with?
I try to go off of memory. For me, and then it's going to probably sound really weird, but the Sega Master System. I remember it having Hang On. I remember. I want to say Shinobi was fairly early on in the launch, and what was it? Space Harrier and something else. I think Outrun wound up coming later,
That
and
Altered
Afterburner
Beast.
came out later. But
Altered Beast.
yeah, well, no, for the
No, that
Master
was
System, that was for the Genesis.
That's the Genesis. Sorry,
But
Oh, my
me
bad.
being a big Sega arcade guy, I remember Hang On and Shinobi wasn't really into that much of an arcade game, but Space Harrier, those were my jams back then as a little kid and playing the arcade. So that's the only reason why I went with Sega Master System, because it had at launch when I got it. I want to say there was 5 games I wound up buying that were all the ones that I spent so many quarters on in the arcade. But there are other systems that had probably better launches as far as how they're publicly viewed. But for me, being the arcadey fan that I was, Sega Master System is the one for me.
Okay, I'm a Sega guy too. You know, as much as I love Lincoln, that's my favorite game of all time. Doesn't matter what system, pick anyone. I'm an Xbox guy. You know, so it is what it is. But and Sega guy. Sorry, that's what I meant to say, Sega guy. But Centurion, what about you, man? I'm curious to see where you're at on this. I mean, I know we've all picked one different. So where you at, man? What do you think?
I'm actually right there with Stagger on the GameCube, because I remember picking that thing up, and I mean, like, what sold the GameCube for me was Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2. I wanted to play that, and I actually have logged a lot of time into Super Monkey Ball with me and my friends, playing Tony Hawk, the Dave Mirra game, Crazy Taxi. Like, as soon as he said GameCube and started naming off all those titles, I was like, oh my God, I actually remember being there for that. And I would have to probably say that's my number one, because that's probably been the one right there where I bought the game console and actually participate. Because I remember through this generation or past generations, one guy or the other is either lacking titles, or the titles that they're putting out aren't all that great. And I feel like the GameCube was one of those generations where, you actually had some content to look forward to and some games to play. Heck, even one of the best games I've ever played, and is still original to this day, is on GameCube and only GameCube, Eternal Darkness.
Oh, that game is so good,
fuck, man.
Oh, total mind fuck. Made you think your system crashed.
You guys don't know. The cockroach on the screen, don't get me started. But anyway, if you guys don't know, Eternal Darkness came with a fucking warning inside the actual disc. Like, it came with its own warning label, because it was such a mind. Like, if they remake Eternal Darkness now, man, like that.
Dude, with 4K resolution, there'd be some broken TVs again.
Bro,
Dude, it made you think your TV was broken.
Literally.
The cockroach one really screwed with me.
Roach, bro. Oh, don't even get me started, bro.
It blue screened you and all that shit, dude. It messed with you big time.
It was a big time mindfuck. But anyway, I don't want to hijack what you were saying, Centurion. Go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with you guys. Like, I remember the first time I saw the cockroach, it threw me off. You'd be walking along, and all of a sudden your controller starts messing up, and you're like, dude, what's going on with my controller?
Totally.
Yeah, just ridiculous. Just random, all kind of random shit in that game. And that shit was crazy. If you never checked it out, I'm sure there's footage of it on YouTube. Go check it out. Eternal Darkness. Complete mindfuck, bro. Complete mindfuck. So, yeah, so I think that was a great topic, man. Glad to end the show on that one. We are going to take a question or two. I know, Stagger, you put in the chat earlier. Any questions? Let us know in the chat right now. If you guys
help.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. If you guys have any questions, we'll take a couple to kind of wrap up the show here. Anything else that I missed on the panel, guys? Anything that I may have didn't get a chance to talk about? Anything that you guys kind of wanted to cover before the chat chimes in? What's up? Shout out Michael, by the way, for popping in. Michael Pulling, appreciate you.
I think about the only other thing, a lot of people seem like they were somewhat upset about the Lockhart possibly not being a release thing, but we
didn't get to that. I guess we could cover that a little bit.
I have a theory on that situation.
Oh shit, we got theories. Put on your tinfoil hat.
Got it on.
Right. we all see, like, if we all remember when they all started talking about this multi-SKU generation and the Project Scarlet family of consoles, it always came up as a streaming console, a mid-grade console, and a high-grade console.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure with some of the situations now that they're, obviously we're hearing the word tariff thrown around and there's trade wars going on and all sorts of other political stuff that, none of us really want to hear about or be part of. I'm pretty sure they've probably had to reevaluate the concept of the middle console. I think they're probably over time going to phase out the S and make the SAT edition or the all digital edition, whatever you want to call it, as their entry level console, which will probably be repriced at about $200. You'll have the X, which will probably get an overhaul. It's already an established console. It's already an established middle grade console because they said the Lockhart wasn't going to be that much better than the X. So I wouldn't be surprised if they overhauled the X, gave it a mid-gen refresh or whatever you want to call it, and made that the middle console and stuck with just putting everything they got into the Project Scarlet.
I can see that.
I can see that. Anybody want to take a shot? Fuzz, Stag?
No, I think that he has Centurion has a good point on that because, in all honesty, I think they were saying it was going to be like a slightly weaker GPU compared to the X, and just a better CPU. But overall, it would balance out to give you about the same visuals, just with possibly a little bit better frame rate here and there. But yeah, I think the X will probably slide into that slot, and by the time the Scarlet comes to market, that'll probably be a $300 SKU at that point. So that makes sense.
I mean, I don't think any of us really know if there was one or if there was two.
Yeah.
We don't know what internal talks really were. And to sit there and say it was never a thing, I think is just, I don't think that's an accurate statement. I mean, and Phil did say consoles, which he could have been alluding to next gen and gen after. I mean, there's so many takeaways that you can take. You read into what people tweet, what people say, what articles are. I mean, I really feel like I can't say that one thing, but the digital only edition was a test market. I mean, it was poorly thought out, but I really think they launched that as a test to see, will this work? Can we launch a system and get it to sell to people that's only digital? And if so, I think maybe we would have heard more about a high end and then a streaming only system.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it didn't. I don't know the numbers on if it sold or not, but I think it didn't do well enough for them to continue with that market right now.
That makes sense. We talked about that too prior to them actually releasing the console. Once we got, obviously it was a leak, came out, since we all knew early that was going to be dropping at that SAD, whatever acronym you want to use for it, was going to be coming out. So that's not out of the realm of possibility, and I think that may have been a thing. But like I said, we don't know. This is the honest to God truth, because they never said there was more than one. It was never truly confirmed. We never said there wasn't more than one. There was a lot of implication, a lot of emails, a lot of leaks, files, fucking read between the line moments, things like that. You see it all over Twitter. So until we get some concrete evidence, and, something out of the horse's mouth saying this is what's going to happen.
It could have been misdirection as well.
Yeah, it could have been that as well. I mean, he's a CEO. He got to keep things ambiguous. He can't be direct about a lot of the things he says because this happens. We pick the shit apart. We come to our own conclusions about it. So sometimes it's necessary for his position to be ambiguous, not giving Phil a pass, but just saying that is part of his job. He can't give everything away. He can't even imply things sometimes. So he has to be ambiguous. Even hell, I say a lot of times they may even be misleading us intentionally. It's just due to the fact that we can't talk about certain things.
I mean, they do leak things to certain people to find out who their leaks are. Like they give them misinformation to be like, oh shit, this person did it. So
he did say in a recent interview that what he said a year ago, 2 years ago, was in a different world. He's like, he can't plan for things to happen, governments to change, and it's stuff that's completely out of his control. So he's like, so for somebody to hold him to the letter of what he said years ago in a different situation, he has to change with the times. He has to change with the world. And sometimes that makes it to where he has to probably, redact on a few things or change the direction of a few things based on situations out of his control.
Definitely.
Makes sense. That's another point that we don't look at on the civilian side of things, because we look at Phil, the gamer. He's supposed to do what the fuck we want him to do. Forgetting he's running a multi-billion-dollar company. He has a boss that he has to account for. You know what I'm saying? Like, they have stocks. This shit matters to the entire, the big picture of things. So
they have a bottom line. Yeah.
Realistically, he's a piece to a puzzle. He's not the entire puzzle. He's in charge of a large portion of the puzzle, but he's only a piece. And it happens. It happens on all sides of the coin. Sony, Nintendo, sometimes they come back and they don't do things the way they may have talked about it, maybe previous years. So it happens. It happens. So I don't think I've seen any questions in the chat. I don't think anybody.
There was one.
What did I miss?
Hold on, I'm scrolling.
Yeah, let me go up a little bit.
I think.
There it is. Shonsu. Yeah, Shonsu. So he said, looks like MS is laying off some of the Mixer staff. What does Mixer need to do to become more competitive with Twitch? I didn't hear about that. That's new to me.
I didn't either.
I saw something on Twitter about layoffs. I couldn't find much about it on the internet.
Yeah, I literally was going to ask you, Stagger, because I figured you would be the one to know right away.
I don't know, but I am a Mixer streamer, and I think part of the problem is they were a little bit late to the game. And Twitch is a huge ocean. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's a better community on Mixer. I don't know what they can do to compete and be a bigger whale in that market. I honestly don't have a good answer for this question. It's something that concerns me as well, because I don't want to leave Mixer. I don't like the Twitch platform. I don't like how the website works. I don't like how the streaming works, how hosting works. I don't like how the affiliate program works, what happens becoming partner, how easy it is to use, fake views. I mean, there's a lot of things about Twitch that I don't like. That said, and I'm a streamer, and then there's a lot of things that they like. Mixer, I don't like. I don't like how often the mobile app crashes on my viewers. I don't like, that they're focusing on rolling out the Ember program when, again, the app doesn't work consistently. Even the web browser doesn't work consistently. They rolled out a rank system, which yay, now I know how long my people have been in my fucking chat. Big fucking deal. Like, focus on growing the goddamn brand. I mean, maybe they think that's a way to grow the brand, to like make viewers feel more important to their content provider. But for me, it does nothing. I don't know. I don't know.
Do you think the giveaways they do on like people that are with Twitch? Because if I remember what I know it's a free service, but there's also a paid version for Twitch where they give you like just for example, an Overwatch loot crate. Like they give you stuff like that.
They do that. Yeah. I mean,
do you think that's part of it?
I have my Twitch all the time. Like I got, my little crown box has like free shit because I watch a couple people that stream on Twitch. So,
that's a tough.
I mean, everybody likes free stuff, right? Yeah. I mean, so maybe that would help, but like,
that's a tough ocean to navigate, man. It's like you said, the esports. So this is the thing. We esports is very, very similar to like I can a lot to Call of Duty because they're so synonymous with each other. We do this shit to Call of Duty every year when we break Call of Duty down. There's still a contingent of people who are going to play Call of Duty no matter what, and that's just like Twitch. Twitch is so ingrained in that type of medium as far as like streaming that people are just going to go to Twitch. Like it's so hard to supplant people from that. Like that's difficult. I know you got the perspective because you are actually a streamer, so maybe you can elaborate.
Go ahead.
I was to say I don't think they're gonna can Mixer because
I'm not saying that.
look at all their E3 events and anything that Microsoft does that has a live stream. The best place to view it is technically on Mixer because that's where they aim to have all their 4K resolution and everything.
Shout out to Mixer. They did a fucking phenomenal job streaming that event this year. It did not lag a single time. It was not behind. It was a little bit behind, I think, Twitch by like 30 seconds or something, but it was good. It was great.
Like one thing Mixer does really, really good that bothers me about Twitch is what bothers me mainly about Twitch is the the big thing that I do as a streamer is not necessarily what I'm playing. It's more that I interact instantly with my viewers and I carry conversations with them. And I've streamed on Twitch and I can't do that because of the 10 to 15 second delay.
Yeah.
So people will say stuff to me in chat, and then by the time I've responded, either I've forgotten the fucking conversation because, you know, my short-term memory's shot, but my long-term's great. But like, it's just, I like that instant interaction. And so, and another point that I was going to make about when you mentioned the esports thing was at FanFest, after we had the Xbox briefing, we went back to the theater that they had us all meet up in, and they brought up more about the Gears of War 5 esports thing. And they said it's going to be on, you'll be able to watch it on TBS, and they showed like backgrounds on the players and stuff like that. And they said, but you can watch it streaming on Twitch. Now, as Gears of War being a Microsoft exclusive game, it really, really threw me off when somebody asked if this is going to be on Mixer, and they said no.
Wow.
Wow, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah.
That's strange.
Yeah.
That's strange.
It makes, I mean, I get it. It's a bigger platform. You want the most eyes on it, but you took one of your flagship games and didn't even put it on your own streaming platform. I do not understand that.
Yeah, I don't know whose decision that was. I have no idea.
I've also heard they're scaling back Inside Xbox, and wasn't Inside Xbox a big thing on Mixer?
Yeah. Well, some of the staff from Inside Xbox were part of the layoff, and
yeah,
it just seems like, I don't know, maybe it's a marketing thing. I don't know. There's so many things that I think that they could do to position Mixer so it would have a little bit better, you know, growth. Like on the streaming end of things, I think they can, you know, turn things up as far as like what you guys had mentioned, like loot crates or skins or some sort of DLC, even if it's just like codes that, oh, you've watched, you know, somebody playing The Division for an hour, you get one of their little, you know, cash keys or one of the little boxes where you unlock and it you might get a scarf or a beanie cap or something like that. Or have it where now you can upload your videos directly from, like have Mixer where there's like a section of it where you can do like your YouTube videos or even your podcasts. I mean, there's quite a few people that are upset with YouTube now that do podcasts, and they got a, you know, maybe a copyright strike because, you know, something that they were watching or talking about had like 5 seconds of a song in it, and now they can't do any live streaming.
Yeah,
so
crazy.
if they did something along the lines where they had, you know, the normal game streaming, possibly like the talk show aspect or podcast aspect or something like that on Mixer as well.
Fucking Mixer, like I'd definitely do a podcast there if they had that, you know, ability. That would be cool.
But they gotta add some things to grow it. I mean, they got to look at what YouTube is doing wrong and people are complaining about, and they got to look at what Twitch is doing wrong, or what at least what people have been complaining about in the past, and, you know, do better. Just listen to that fan base, add it into Mixer, and then you'll probably get some people coming over to it.
So I wanna end the show with Stag, because once again I want this from, you know, somebody that just streams, you know, he does it 4, 5, 6 hours a day. So is there any suggestion, or if they handed you the keys and said, here, we need you to figure out what's going on with Mixer, we need you to take Mixer from, you know, what it is now to the next step, we really wanted to compete with Twitch, what are 3 things you would do to kind of wrap things up?
Not highlight Fortnite as much.
Okay.
Not hand instant partnerships to, say, Snoop Dogg, Stallion 83, and fix the problems you already have and not roll out new shit before but that's my problem with everything. Like, everything's what's next. You know, we're not going to fix the problems that are happening on the current whatever X product is. We're gonna roll out new shit and hope that doesn't break everything. So fix the stuff. Don't just throw. I mean, because like Twitch did the same thing. They got celebrities and they just threw money at them and they made them partners, and that helped them. Like, it really did. Yeah. And it probably is helping Mixer as well. But as a smaller streamer, god damn it if it's not fucking disheartening. Yeah. You know? Just to be like, I'm sitting here grinding my ass off, and I mean, granted, Snoop Dogg's huge. He's been around since I was, 14 years old. And it's, god damn, I just aged myself. But like, it's just, it's just it hurts a little bit to know that I'm fucking no, his streams are great, don't get me wrong, but it hurts a little bit to know that I'm grinding my ass off. And I'm not gonna like tout my own shit as the best thing in the world, but like I have decent content, we have good times, and all he has to do is say I'm Snoop Dogg and I have 10,000 followers in an hour. You know, it's just, or Stallion 83, great. You know what? He's the first person to hit 2 million. Awesome. You know, he's been on Twitch forever and now he made the jump to Mixer and he's instantly a partner. He didn't have to, like, I mean, granted, he would have jumped to Mixer and gotten a shit ton of views and a shit ton of followers, but to instantly make him partner is frustrating. I know he's a big name, so he's going to get that. I understand it. But as, like I said, a smaller streamer, it's just, it makes you wonder why you keep trying, and you still have to focus on your own content, but that's just, it sucks.
Yeah.
You know?
And anybody,
especially since they make it so hard to become partner now, like it's easier on, like I could go to Twitch and I would probably already be a partner. Like, I mean, my numbers aren't high enough for partner, but I would definitely be an affiliate and I could get subs. I don't have that option on Mixer. The only option I have on Mixer is to get to that 2,000 follower mark and then hit the, views per hours, viewers per hours, views per hours, community interaction. And there's also other things that you don't know that go into becoming a partner that they don't tell you while they're viewing you for your, I don't know what to call it, but like the week or 2 weeks where they're watching you when you're up for partner. There's a lot of things that go into it. And then they don't tell you why you didn't make partner, so they don't really tell you how to improve. So I guess it's another thing that could improve.
Yeah, a lot of things, man. But I wanted to go ahead and end it on that because I know, like I said, you're a streamer. You do that for real, a lot. And I wanted to just give that topic its proper respect by letting you finish that thing out, man. But we appreciate it. Once again, chat, we're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. Once again, you guys have showed out. The show ran a little bit over. It's just like getting consistent. I'm fucking up my own rule by going over an hour. But the show's been so great. You guys have been so interactive. The chat's been popping so much that it doesn't even matter. We're having so much fun. But let's go ahead and wrap everything up, man. Once again, thank you guys for coming out, showing out. Let's start with you, Centurion. Let everybody know what you got going on, where they can find you, man.
Well, other than gaming on Xbox with you guys and trying to still play Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you could find me on my blog, legionofgamer.com, or running around on YouTube at Legion of Gamer and Twitter at Centurion1307. I will tomorrow be on the BG4G Hub podcast. I also do some articles for them on their website and do podcasts with them. Great group of guys from the UK. And then obviously I'm going to be here every Saturday with you guys talking games. And I really appreciate you giving me a consistent space to be on here in the podcasting world and being able to talk with like-minded people about games.
Not a problem, man. Once again, you earned it, man. We just felt like it was a good fit. It made sense. So if you guys didn't know, you'll see Centurion on, every week. He's consistent, great dude. From now on, if you guys looking at my descriptions, they will make sure I have Stagger's information as well as my own personal information, then Centurion's as well. So please, I'll have to go back and amend a couple of these videos to actually add that. So just please go do that. Follow Stag on Mix as well as follow Centurion on YouTube, man. So shout out to all the small content creators out there. One thing I do want to reiterate about what Stag was saying is that, just keep trying, keep pushing. He's doing what he's doing. He has a great content. Just keep trying, keep doing what you're doing. Do not give up, man. Against all odds, man, you'll overcome. And that's what he's doing. He's a perfect example of that. He has great content, and he's every day grinding. So just keep doing your thing. But Stag, I guess that's a great segue to, what do you have going on? I know you got a lot coming up in the near future, but where can everybody find you at?
I mean, you can find me at mixer.com/Stagger. I just shortened the name to make it a lot easier for people to find me. I'm limiting my Twitter interactions lately to just when I'm in my office, so I'm doing that a little bit less. You can find my links to my Discord on there, and obviously you'll hear me here Saturdays. You won't hear me next Saturday because I will be in Vegas for a jiu-jitsu tournament for my son. But other than that, like here, Mixer, come check out a stream, see if you like what you see, drop a follow. It's always appreciated.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Once again, if you guys are a fan of the podcast, please go follow both of those gentlemen. One again on YouTube, the other Mixer, Stagger Mixer, Centurion YouTube. Please go support what they're doing. We like to support each other's content, so please do that as a favor to me.
I'm gonna go check out Stagger. Stagger
streams. Oh yeah, definitely go check him out. It's amazing, man.
And I just want to put it out there that, Stagger, you're excellent role model of keeping your eye on the ball and never letting the things that go on in this world get you down. You just keep trucking on and never lose that motivation.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it, man. See, nothing but love around here, man. God damn it. Where's Dr. Phil? All we're missing is Dr. Phil at this point. But either way, let's go ahead and get the Fuzzy so we can go ahead and wrap this thing up, guys. Buzz, what's going on with you besides sleeping?
I'll probably be hitting Division 2 later on tonight, but greatly appreciate talking shop with you guys on our favorite hobby. Awesome show, awesome topics, awesome ideas and conversation. This is the big thing I look forward to on the weekend. But you can find me on Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere, on PSN Fuzzy_Belvedere, or Xbox Live at Fuzzy Space Belvedere. Probably playing either Forza or Division.
Yeah, for the time being, until all these other games come out, then we'll be bouncing around for sure. But once again, let me wrap things up. Your boy PTK Blam, the host with the most, man. PTK Blam across the board. Twitter is actually first name, last name. That is in the description below. Xbox Live, PTK Blam. Don't forget it, man. Thank you guys for coming out, showing up, showing out. We'll be here once again next week. Same time, same place. Stagger will not be here, but safe trip to you and your family, Stagger. Hope your son kicks some ass in the tournament, or if he's entering or you're watching, I'm not sure, but if he's in it, I hope he kicks ass. That's all.
I hope so. Yeah, he's competing.
Oh, let's do it. Let's get it. We need to go out there, little Bruce Lee, and kick some ass. Sure, man. We're gonna get out there. We're gonna support with Stagger Zoom. But once again, catch us next week, man. Best show on the weekend. If you're a fan of video games, subscribe, support. Peace out. Love you guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We are out of here, everybody.